To do the other one.
Oh,
So official. Oh my goodness. Hello. Okay, so I got the recording started. I had my goal tonight was threefold, or three things I wanted to share. One is just briefly about rest, because it's amazing, but being brief is good, because I want to keep it as simple as possible and hopefully speak about it in a way that lands with everybody, because it really is, everyone can benefit from rest. So I'll talk about that in a sec. But then my other two is to share this awesome tool that is crazy simple, and it's a hack really for when you are in a very stressful place, like you physically are feeling stressed, or your kid, or your kids, grandkids, regular kids, or your friend, your partner, anybody is like you're feeling it, like you're like feeling anxiety, you're feeling the stress. I've got a really awesome hack and just a great tool for that is like, just like, oh my god, you're gonna be like, this is the best ever. And then last is what we're going to start with first, but it's how to get into heart coherence, which is also it's free, just like the hack I'm going to teach you. It's free, it's simple, it doesn't take long at all, and you can learn to do it yourself, and then you can teach anybody how to do it. So actually, so you know what, so we'll start with that, because I really love this, and I do use it with each rest session. I do use this heart coherence, and when I post this in the Facebook group, I'll put the link for, it's called the Heart Math Institute, and Kara, I'm sure, knows about this, but I don't know if you listen to YouTube, but it's just there's a ton of research just about um all things around heart coherence, around I don't know. I'm going to try to, I probably will just completely dilute it if I try to talk about it. The goal of getting into heart coherence is to get you to a place out of your head and into your heart, very specifically, so that it will actually take your, like if you even got your, beats per minute, your pulse, anything like that, you can literally feel it, and scientifically, like you can see it coming down. As a matter of fact, if you're doing it with somebody else, they studied even having a dog in the room, right, and having an adult, or having an adult and a child in the room, or even close to each other, that are doing the same thing, and how they can get into heart coherence. So go ahead, I'm going to teach you. So go ahead and close your eyes, and this is a great time, because this is kind of the potentially kind of end of the day for most people. And just start to come into your breath. Take a deep breath in, and then let it out slowly. Kind of as you take your breath in, I want you to take a breath in with lightness and with openness, like a golden white light. And as you let your breath out, I just want you to let go of anything from the day, even if you don't want to think about it, but you just know you can feel it and it's not serving you. So as you breathe in, you're going to breathe in openness, intention, just light and love and softness. And as you breathe out, you're just going to let go of any sludge or any muck or any yuck, anything. It doesn't even matter whether you can identify it. So you breathe in and breathe out. And as you breathe out too, imagine that your kind of your sits bones, right, down in that root chakra, are just really down, almost like magnetized, kind of connected to Mother Earth. So as you breathe in, you get that. And as you breathe out, she's got you. You're very calm and solid. Kind of continue that breathing. And I want you to get a focus on your heart space. And if you want to put your hand on your heart, if that helps, you can do that. And in that heart space, in your mind's eye, when you're thinking about and feeling that heart space, I want you to think about something that brings you immediate joy, effortless joy. This could be the first time your firstborn laid on your bare naked chest, and you remember that feeling. You sometimes get shivers in your body if you remember that. It could be an event. It could be a picture, an experience, it could be a pet. Anything that makes your lips start to curl up and makes your whole body just get relaxed. It doesn't even have to think about it. It is immediate. And I don't want you to think so much about what it is Once you get that feeling, I want you to grab it. I want you to catch it in your mind's eye, and I want you to put it around your heart. And I want you to breathe into that heart space with that feeling. And if you want that picture, it's okay. Let it go to the most center part of your heart and start to breathe life and love and peace, and let it kind of, like a flower that starts to bloom that you see, I want it to multiply. Take that feeling and take that space and take that picture and that event, that memory, and just let it grow and build. Keep building, where every little bit of your heart is filled up. And it can extend into any part of your body, all the way up into your head, your crown, and all the way down to your feet, down to the tips of out to the tips of your fingers, your tips of your nose, your eyelashes, your earlobes, your eyebrows, your legs, every little piece, just swirling around. And keep that beautiful breath. And let that fill you up. Beautiful. Nice and calm. Good. And take a moment. Get your body back to this time that we're in right now. Get centered in this current space. Be ready to come back to me. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. Yay. That was a very basic, kind of very, very short, very basic heart coherence meditation. And you can, like I said, you can, when you're feeling restless or with anyone that you're around, if you need to, sometimes that can be almost too emotional. If you think about your firstborn, we all have kids, but like if you'd like it to be a little lighter, you can think about a picture that just really wakes you, that really just speaks to you. Like it just is amazing, depending on what you need. If it's sleepy time, you can think about something that's really going to ground you. If it's you want some relaxation, but you want to be energized too afterwards, think about something that brings you joy, but it's also kind of energetic. So that'll give you an idea. So do you guys like that? Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a question, Jen?
Yeah.
So is the significance of a heart coherence meditation that you're referencing the space around the heart and filling it in, that you're connecting your experience with the heart and then expanding it out? It's the significance of the heart relative to other kinds of meditations. Is that what I understand?
It is true for heart coherence specifically, and especially when we talk about like the the different chakras and the, like for us at rREST too, the goal being for whoever I'm working with, for my client to get from however they come to me, because they could be really frantic, they could not be, but it's really great to get them to a more relaxed space, and it also helps me because I'm also to do it. And then as far as Reiki standpoint, as far as muscle testing, it allows me really quite easily after that, once I get that done, to be able to have it almost like a really deep connection with you guys to do that. It just makes it easier, makes it better for me, and mostly for the relaxing. Yeah, but I think that just having that hyper focus area, because meditation is fantastic. Guided meditations are amazing and for your whole body, but specifically as far as what they were looking at scientifically, even just from our heartbeats, beats per minute, and bringing people more into the same beats per minute, to where they're almost cycling together, even if they're completely way off. Once they do that heart coherence exercise, it's really incredible what happens.
Wow.
Get that with your heart. It was so exciting when we learned about that. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Oh my gosh. Heck yeah, of course. I love that. So I hope Lucinda liked that too. I'm thinking
I
it.
did.
Yay.
I did like it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so number 2, I'm going to keep this brief. So this is a neurological hack that we learned, and it's extremely effective. As a matter of fact, the doctor, the neuroscientist that we learned it from, her daughter was usually pretty calm, but she had a college course that she felt a test coming up. She felt really good about it up until she got like right outside the door and like really started to almost have a panic attack. And it's not like her, but she did. She called her mom, and so her mom's like, "Here's what I want you to do." It's really quick. It's basically, I'm gonna show you. It's 2 quick breaths in, like with your nose, and then out through your mouth, and you do it 3 times, and it needs to be significant. So when I say 2 quick breaths in, like it needs to be like I've never done cocaine, but you see stuff in movies, but like like you see like that. So it goes like this. Woo! Even like me doing it. So if you guys don't have to do it, but I'd love for you to try, because and take a deep breath first, get yourself ready, and kind of sit up straight so if you're not slouching over. And like I said, it's the 2 quick in the nose, out through the mouth. As soon as you're out with the mouth, 2 quick again, out with the mouth, and as soon as you're done, 2 quick again, up through your nose and out through the mouth. So at your
So,
own time.
so
Yeah.
it's in through the nose, and then hold it and in through the nose again, or in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose. I'm
No. So
after
it's a great question. It's actually like 2 quick inhales in through your nose. So it's my nose is like it's not
okay.
sounding as clear. So it's really it's like a sniff. So it's almost like you're taking the 1 sniff and you're elevating it twice. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
it does.
you're not breathing back out. You're just
Okay.
going to do 2 quick breaths in with your nose and then out with the mouth, and then but doing that cycle 3 times. So.
Okay.
And sniff up as forcefully as you can. I mean, don't get crazy about it, but just so you can really like tell your brain, like, this is what I'm doing right now. I am sniffing up in the same breath 2 times very quickly, letting it out, and I'm going to go through this cycle 3 times.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so so Kara, you go first. That was good. And did you? So I saw you do. I could be wrong. I saw you do 1 in and then 1 out.
No, I went.
Okay, cool. I just did not hear it. This is why
I don't know if I did out like as forcefully or as much as I could have. The in felt pretty good. I wasn't sure if I did the out quite right. Is there a right way to do the out?
I think I think the more that you can do like it's almost like as forcefully as you can get in, and as forcefully, almost like when we've done stuff before with the breathing, where it's like, it doesn't have to be that much, but pretty much, because we're doing it quickly, and I get that. It takes a little practice. So as forcefully as you can do it up, and as forcefully as you can let it out is nice, because it's a very neurologically, it's pressing your brain to be like, wait, you're taking me up here, but now you're going down here. But this is what you want. You want this. You want that.
Okay.
Yeah, try it one more time.
Okay.
Nice. Did you feel? I mean, did you feel a little relaxed after?
Yeah. I think the word that came to mind is interrupt. I feel like it just interrupted whatever was happening, and then I was like in that moment after interrupt. I'm like, hey, where was I? Like in a good way.
Oh, no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. It is. It's clearly getting out of your head, and it does. It has a little bit of more staying power than just like doing something like, we did that too. Like you're like,
or I tell my kids, take 3 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. And I don't know, that doesn't really help them. It should help them, but it doesn't. But maybe this would be a little bit more forceful.
Yeah. And they can practice it. And even if they're angry, even if they want to go, as you go, go for it. Like, I mean, that's even, So Lucinda, you want to try?
I think that maybe I'm no longer I can see you guys. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think for some reason I'm no longer on there because I don't see me. Yes.
No, I don't see me either, Lucinda. I think we're only supposed to see the screen and Jenny, and then I only see you because you're talking. And then you saw me when I was talking, but you're exactly, I think, where you're supposed to be.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to play this. And you know what, though? It also, if you're on your phone, you can sometimes change the, like right now, I'm in you can go into grid video, or just me on your phone. I think if you swipe right or left, you should be able, I have to on my phone. If I do my phone, it only shows me or other one person. If I swipe one more, it shows me everybody. I don't know if it will, Lucinda, for you.
Can you guys see me?
I can, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I usually you can see yourself, but you can't. Okay, I will do I just see you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Now I see you. Okay, I'll do it.
Nice.
So 3, quick 2 and out. 2
Yeah, so
in,
you see a
1
quick
out.
2 and then out and then do that whole thing 3 times.
Yeah.
And then did your out, I didn't really hear either one of your out breaths. Clearly I know you're breathing out, but it may just be that that it was looser. So like I encourage you for it to be more like,
Yeah, I don't hear your out ones.
oh, you don't, that's it. Okay, well then there you go. That's what I'm
Yeah.
so glad you said that, because now I know that if I think I'm being loud and you don't hear it, then
I can see yours, but I don't hear it at all.
okay, perfect. I'm so glad you told me that.
So this is something very similar that I do with my little guy. We do heart to heart. Like if he's upset, we have to put our hearts against each other and we breathe in and out and synchronize like that.
You did it.
Yeah.
That's it. That is heart coherence. That's another form of heart coherence that is so powerful. Because he'll pick up on where you are for sure, and you've got more life wisdom, to be able to get your heart slowed down and to be able to take the energy. I mean, you're very energetic, all of us. So he's going to pick up on that, and you're connecting with him with that energy as well, which is nice. So that's perfect.
A+.
Exactly right.
Extra credit.
A+ is
for
right.
doing it shorter.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, so the first was the really quick heart coherence meditation. Second is that quick neurological hack to get you out of your head and just quickly shift. And then so what is rest? Rest is something that and probably a good low number of years, so many people will know about. The neat thing is, so 3 genius women started formed rest. And I say that because really Dr. Cindy Scholes, who's a neuroscientist, she's in the Bay Area. Over 20 years ago, she was doing what's now called rest. It wasn't called rest. She was a hypnotherapist. She's a neuroscientist. She had different modalities. She learned about NET. She knew EMDR. She knew all kinds of different things that were all super effective. However, she was adding in a little bit more breadth and depth and some specificity, especially around getting back to learning about taking what she knew about neuroscience and about our brain and about our stress response, and then getting it back to a very specific time where there was an emotion felt by us, typically as infants. It could be in the womb if you're open to that. Could be if you're open to it, prior generation. As if people say generational trauma, it's not that genetically. I will say it's not like it's a linear to where genes, like gene emotions, like genes are passed down in that way. However, the expression, as far as the gene expression and trauma with different emotions, is passed down. So how we learn how to respond to stress and how our ancestors learned, that is passed down. And so, and it's sometimes tied, not sometimes, it's always tied when it triggers us to a very specific, one emotion is tied to a very specific event. And typically that event is nothing of significance. We all have things of massive significance, most everybody. We have big T traumas, we have little T traumas. Sometimes even the really insignificant things as kids that we experience, we still have emotions, and there's still times where those emotions weren't soothed, and it's not any shame on our parents or anybody we were around. It just doesn't happen sometimes. So turns out that when those things are experienced, and I'll give you a perfect example. It could have happened for real when you were younger. It could be something that you imagine that is also real. If we imagine something that happened, if we have an imaginary friend, if we have a memory that we imagine, it is as real in our brain as if something that really happened. So it does not matter whether we imagined it or whether it happened. It matters. It just means in our brain, it's the same thing. So it is very significant. And one example, for example, of something that's not super, that people would be like, okay, that's not that significant. Let's just say you were, God, how old were you? We are when we learned how to do our shoes. I don't know. I'll just throw out, if they're like Velcro shoes, I'll just throw out 4 years old. And you know, your mom puts your shoes out there, you go out, you put them on, you're so excited, and they're all on the wrong feet. Your mom's in a hurry. She comes over, she takes them off, puts them back on the wrong feet and says, we got to go. Nothing, you know, really traumatic happened at that point, but like that was, you had an emotion, for example, that was associated with that event in terms like you were really psyched, like you were super happy that you did that. And again, you know, your mom wasn't trying to not be able to take a minute and go, honey, you did such a great job. So if you think about that example, the reason I give it is because if you think about that generationally, things that have happened, and think about us at conception, in the womb, as kids, all the way to where we are now, and you think about our mind in a garden, every time something like that happens and there is an emotion that is not soothed, it is a weed that goes in your brain. So we have a lot of weeds, and rest, it has, as a process, is tending to the garden of the mind. And through the process that we have, that I do, which is permanent and beautifully cumulative, we have a way to find the weed, to find a very specific weed associated with the most original event with that emotion. And there's lots of things that have happened. We pull it out, we plant the new seed, and we integrate that so that your brain has more space. So over time, what that means is that you're going to feel lighter, if you want to be like the basics of like how I feel. I mean, everybody that does even one rest session, you are going to feel lighter. You're going to feel offloaded. Over time, it can be anything from less triggered, it can be less reactive, it can be anxiety and depression being more handled. It can be, if from a business standpoint, whether you are have small baby goals or entrepreneurial, big hairy corporate, you know, Fortune 100, it can be taking things to a massive level in your business. In terms of, even if you're doing well, we found that for athletes, for businesses, for moms, for anything, there's typically an emotion associated with something that is causing some kind of disruption in our life. And to even go a step further, when I went through the advanced class, I'm so excited about this, even if you have a physical pain. So if there is, especially acute, chronic, we can handle as well, in the sense that if you have, for example, headache or neck ache or something that like, you're like, even especially if it's not super explained, if you're like, God, you know, 99% of the time, there's an emotional element associated with that pain. So what does that mean? That means that if we go through a rest session from that, coming in from that, and soothe the emotion that's specifically associated with that, it gives your body a greater chance to heal. And, you know, and not only that, there are profound implications neurologically. We have a gal in our class that was born with one lung. So, you know, she think about her oxygen capacity, think about her breathing and all of that. And she's was a student, was a client, and now she's an advanced rest coach like me. Dr. Cindy did went and took her case study. I can't remember the numbers. I'll see if I can pull them up. But her respiratory therapist was blown away from rest. She actually increased by about 60%. Just oxygen capacity, like with one lung. So it gives you an idea of what the body's capable of when we get to, you know, to handle the things that we don't even know are there because they're so super subconscious. So there's like 2 minutes, this video, Christy, who's one of the founders, one of the good friends of mine as well. And she just speaks really briefly about what is rest and gives a little bit of example of her, which I love. So let me start this.
Whenever I took a nap, I would start a fight with my husband. This was not intentional, but over time, I started to notice a pattern. And it's weird to think about now, but there was a time when I felt guilty for having needs. I was exhausted.
I don't hear anything.
I don't either, but I am reading it.
Oh, I'm not getting to see words.
I know, it's so weird because I tried this earlier, and I'm so sorry. And I remember Lucinda said that she could hear it. So let me.
Yeah, I heard the first little
I
bit,
heard the
and
first part too.
No way.
No, and then
Yeah.
she stopped. Here, push play again. Let's see if we can hear her now.
All right, let me see. And give me 1 second. I'm also okay. You were using enhanced encryption. I want to make sure that my I already did. I already
Okay.
said shared audio settings. Want to make sure that I was sharing computer audio, which it said that I was. All right, let me try.
Whenever I took a nap, I would start a fight with my husband. This was not intentional, but over time, I started to notice a pattern. And it's weird to think about now, but there was a time when I felt guilty for having needs. I was exhausted and I hated to admit that I needed more sleep than my husband did. And the crazy thing was is he never made me feel this way. It was a story that I was telling myself and it was tearing me up inside. That voice kept telling me that I was a total slacker. And because of this, I took my insecurities out on the person that I love the most. And I'm not proud of it. Then I had a few rest sessions and I was no longer picking fights with my husband. It was as if someone waved their cheesy, but now when I need self-care, I don't feel guilty admitting it to my husband. When I'm feeling exhausted, I invite him to take a nap with me. Instead of having that negative chatter in my head, I am able to have a deeper relationship with a man I married. My point is, we all have struggles. For me, it was being ashamed that I had needs. For you, it could be that coworker who gets under your skin, or it could be something as little as the smell of someone's cologne. Whatever the trigger, it makes us feel super uncomfortable. Triggers make us say or do things that we regret later and have to apologize for. So where do these triggers come from? The triggers come from our childhood. And even if you had a great childhood, you have negative experiences. When we had stressful moments as children and they were not soothed, it's as if we stuffed those memories deep into the crevices of our subconscious brain where we thought we'd never see them again. It's like we survived, right? So we're all good. No, we're not so good. Those stressors eventually surface as triggers. It's kind of like when we cleaned our rooms as kids. We'd stuff all the toys in the closet, and later, when the door was opened, everything came crashing to the floor. This is a metaphor for the stress that builds throughout our lives. It builds and builds until eventually it all comes crashing down. At rest, we want to prevent that crash or soften the blow when the crash happens. While we don't have a magic wand, we do have a step-by-step process where each rest session helps you to begin to delete the triggers in your life. Once you delete enough of those triggers, you start to change entire belief systems that don't serve you. And you begin to access your own power, your own genius, your own creativity, and it happens quite naturally. There is a sense of freedom that is so hard to describe, but so worth experiencing when you're not being triggered all the time. This is why I love to recommend a minimum of 10 rest sessions. At rest, we believe that emotions matter. Now is the time to master yours.
Okay,
So
let's
what
see.
can you expect from your
Let me
rest
stop that,
sessions?
exit
You
full
understand taking
screen.
the time over
All right,
time,
Christy, we're done with that.
started to notice.
Oh my Lord.
And it
One day I'll actually, let me exit this. Okay,
I'm not sure what I did.
back to Zoom. Was that successful, the sound?
Yep.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I heard it.
Okay, that's perfect. So that was the, and I know she uses the word trigger, which is fine. That I found, so I tried to give you a broad, kind of a glimpse of like, if someone, who would potentially, who would use rest. And it's just been like, it really is, looking at anything from having a reaction that we think is an overreaction. Like, I almost feel like every mom has had days where we've completely overreacted. We're like, holy shit, like, where did that come from? Or what the F is wrong with me? Like anything that comes across, like, what is wrong? What is going on with me? Or what's wrong with me? Where did that come from? Not just moms. Probably everybody has had some kind of reaction where it's like, whoa, like you feel like your body got taken over. That's what we're speaking to. Because it's almost like neurologically in our brain, what our reaction is not about what happens today, ever. It's never. Like we learned, Dr. Cindy, it was so beautiful because it takes so much pressure off of us. If you think about a Vietnam vet, for example, had a ridiculously traumatic experience, loud noises, let's say, would spark them off. And the Vietnam, we all know when Vietnam occurred. However, if that loud noise happens tomorrow in his brain, like that is Vietnam time. Like it's not, his brain doesn't recognize, there's no linear, it doesn't recognize that it's happening today. So it makes perfect sense that, it's not, what's wrong with us, it's what happened to us. And it's not usually about anything that's super traumatic. And I get questions sometimes about, well, what if we do have super traumatic things? I understand, it's a great question. Typically they will not come up with rest. And I say that because one also brilliant thing about our brains is that our brain will allow things to come up when our brain is ready for them to come up. So consciously we can process things with that same rule of thumb when we're ready. Although, it really is, it's a beautiful system. Your brain is very protective in that way. So the things that come up, like we've got a clean house. Like rest allows us to kind of clean house and get the things that are there that, have fired together. Like the things that fire together, neurologically wired together, which means that if we have a certain experience with shame, for example, there is a time in our life where we experience shame associated with an event. There is an original event associated with shame. I don't know what it is for you. I don't know for each one of us. With, a certain time back to a certain original event. So you have that, and then you've got other times in your life where you might feel that way. Well, let's just say however many times you feel that way is the number of times that you're neurologically firing in your brain, and that creates a pretty strong weed. So if you think about that, that's kind of where rest comes in and helps to really untangle that web and untangle the, weed the garden, open it up to where, whether it's something physical in your body, whether it's a mental, emotional, when I stepped into rest as a client, I was really just feeling kind of desperate. I didn't even know why though. It wasn't a trigger thing for me. I had things on paper that were so good in my life, and I was feeling like I felt like I was a little frozen. I had all these great things happening. So of course I had a little guilt about how can I have all these great things happening? And people from the outside are looking in, like, the whole I should be happy. And I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out on my own. I tried, and I just couldn't make the move to get out of this space that I was in. So that's, so that was like that's the best way I can describe it. And it turned out that it just got me so much more open about so many different things, and just the calm and the openness, the positivity, the drive. It's awesome. So that's kind of the, as far as what a rest session looks like. We do it via Zoom, which I love because I can do it with anybody virtually. The first session, just because I'm explaining a couple of things, as you go through the process, it's very relaxing. The first session is probably, an hour and 15 minutes. Each session after that is about an hour at the most. It's give or take whether we if there's if there's like catching up, and all that. It depends on if people, need to be done or not, or if I'm close with them and things like that, if we're catching up. But it's not talk therapy. Like this is not, the only thing that you're doing consciously is at the very beginning. I'll do a discovery session with people, which is no charge initially, to just see where they're at and, find out what they're working on and their goals and their obstacles and, all that, dreams. And so, and then once that in the first session, it's really just, a little bit about the here and now in terms of, what we're going to, what area, what specifically we're going to focus on. I end up asking some questions, and I come up with some awesome, okay statements, different things that I get to come up and kind of test your brain with, but that are fun. But it's all subconscious. So your clients really just kind of get to hang out and chill. So we definitely connect. I use the Reiki so that I can muscle test. I'm not giving Reiki during a rest session. I call in my Reiki, and I do it so that we are connected, and I have ways to test that we're connected because it's used throughout the entire session. And then if Reiki's wanted or needed at the end, I do something called Ho'oponopono, which I love so much. And it's part of our meditation at the end when you do the integration. So you usually sleep like a baby after a rest session. It's really nice to try to get a good night's sleep, and try not to drink alcohol, I always say, or really, or anything, you know, that would mind altering. It's nice to just kind of like have a night where you just let your brain do its natural thing, because over the next 3 nights, really the first night's the biggest. It's going to integrate what we did, and it's going to become permanent, which is awesome. We've even seen stuff with rest up and down the leash, meaning we've seen shifts in families that haven't even, the other family haven't even done rest, but one family member has, and because of certain emotional connections and things, it's awesome. It's a little bit of magic. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
So is it all like breathing exercises?
Say again.
Is it like what you just did with the heart thing? Is
No,
is it like a series of breathing?
it's not. It's a great question. I'll chuck it out, like I'll nut it out very briefly. It's I come up with some different statements that I have you say back to me, and I get to muscle test those. And what I'm doing is, the statements, I'm not testing whether you believe in the statements. I'm not testing, this is not about whether the statements are true or false. I'm testing to see whether your body has a stress response to the statements. And it's really kind of genius. So they're very simple, but based on, so every session's different based on that. So you kind of start with that. And then from that, you'll know, because if I tell you which ones are testing stressed, you get to pick one. And trust me, you'll know the one, you'll like, your body will be like, oh, like, I don't know, like I did one, it was like, oh, during COVID, and my mom and I weren't, it was anyway. And so I just knew. So you pick one, and then from that is where we've got a whole process we do with rest. And so I've got different who, what, when we get back to we do things to get back to the original event. Again, you're not doing anything. I'm just picking up on small little nuances from your body. It's magic. And we kind of create a story, but I do it. And then I have some different acupressure. There are things that I teach you to do with your hands. They're very specific as to what you do with each hand, where you put it on your head, which is Dr. Cindy, which is another specificity that is super rest related. They're super amazing as far as having it here to soothe. And then we retest some things. So it's a process that we do. So there's very little that you have to do, but being in a place that you're really relaxed and that it's quiet is really like the what I say is a must. Like I want you to be somewhere comfortable. Like you lay down. I've had most of my clients, like I don't even have to see you. Like, I mean, I love you, but I'm seeing you. Like if you want to lay on your bed and you're like, I'm just going to put the thing right here, lay down, no problem. As long as you could hear me, you're fine up until a few things that I need you to do. And then once you're done with that, we have some different things neurologically that integrates it, eye movement. So it's cool. It's very simple. It's not, there's nothing physical, like, uncomfortableness about it. Can it get emotional? You know, sometimes you might not, like they could think, it might be a little emotional. It's more cathartic. It's more like, oh, wow. And there's some at the very end, some forgiveness of the Ho'oponopono. I do this integration, this meditation that is just, it's incredible. And so in that small time period, you're going to move mountains, but it's done with a lot of ease. So I know that wasn't like uber specific, but just to give you an idea that like, it's, you know, mostly I am doing things and you might be talking to me at times. And other than that, there's a few things that you'll do, that you and I will do together that I teach you. And then so it's kind of like a little bit of give and take throughout the session. And at the end, it's super relaxing. I do the meditation and the integration. So it is wild. I say magic because sometimes like people are like, what just happened? I'm like, this is how I felt. My first meditation, I'm like, what just happened? So is that helpful, or did I just like, was that like clear as mud, or?
No, it reminds me of something that I did before called Neuralink.
Okay.
There was a lot of like I was in person with them, but it was like very specific way of like touching, tapping. I mean, it was like she had a whole chart. She literally had a chart that she would go from, and the only thing I could think of was it felt to me like a chiropractic adjustment for the nerves. I
No,
guess.
yeah, for sure. NET is like that, and one difference in like the they'll attach an emotion to an event for childhood. The difference with rest is that there's not anything that in existence as of right now that will take a specific emotion and get back to the most original event, because that is really where pulling the weed out is about. You'll do the dandelion and you'll think you get the whole weed. You're like, shit, and you won't do it. So that's why it's still good. You still soothe emotions with NET and I'll do different things. I don't want to take anything away from that. It's still effective. It's just that she based on specifically what we do by going through these different things, the who, what, when, where, and all that, getting the specific age, who was, around. And again, even gathering those bits of information, I always tell clients not to get so hooked into what the original event, all the details of it, because like, think about in our minds, and again, it's very real. If we have a memory of 3 years old with mortification, let's just say, and even though you don't know what mortification is when you're 3 years old, you can feel all the emotions, even in the womb, there. So it's like, if you get back to exactly when that was, it's very specific, very specific. So, and then Kara, I know you had a question.
I do. I have to go in a minute because it turns out dinner plans, but
oh, very nice.
But here's my question. Here, you step out and I'll ask my question. 2 questions.
Yeah.
One is, how often do you do the sessions? Like once a week, more than once a week? That's one question. And my second question is, if my 14-year-old daughter was open to this, does that work with somebody who's open to it, but minimally engaged because they're 14?
Such a great question. First question is, how often do I do it? So for someone that's like really in a need, like that's acute, they might, really be in a little bit of crisis, then we can do 2 sessions a week. Nothing more than that, only because you need 3 days in between each rest session. Typically, I would say more often it's, so if you're in more of a, like, I really need this once a week, if not, then like every couple weeks is really nice, because there's typically like a nice rounding of that. And then, yes, to the 14-year-old, I went back and checked. She was 14. My friend's daughter, who was in a grade higher than where she should have been, but just had all kinds of athletic and school and friends and mental, emotional stuff. But we did several sessions and it was amazing. And we didn't know exactly how she was going to do, but even if they're not fully engaged, like rest works, whether they're like connected, it's incredible. Like, it's like, to answer your question, yes, it works. It works.
I found this very helpful, very clear, really intriguing. Yeah. And let's get together because I want to talk about this thing with my daughter. Yeah. But I gotta go because apparently I have dinner. But really nice to see you guys. Nice to see you, Lucinda, Courtney's iPhone.
I think I have my thumb over. There we go. I'm sitting here in my car trying to hold my phone at an angle where I can see it close enough to me. So
nice.
My hand's getting tired. Yes.
Oh, I bet, girl. Well, have fun here at dinner.
Yes.
Nice
to see you guys. I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Bye, Jen.
Bye. Nice.
That's fun. I have a question.
Yes.
April was trying to explain to me the difference between body code and rest. So I've done, some body code stuff, but she was like, oh, this is so much better. And I was like, okay, well, tell me more.
Yeah. So no, it's a great question. So body code, it's limited in terms of what I know from like science, like from a clinician standpoint or a practitioner or like science standpoint. I actually did one session because I thought it was cool, and I will do more. I would say that imagine rest having 6 different like legs coming down from it in terms of how the process goes and how it gets into your body. And let's say the body code would be one of the 6. Okay, I know that sounds ridiculously simplified, and not that we really use body code, but like body code is body code, so it's specific what it does. Body code's purpose, from my understanding, is to help with soothing some emotions, but it also is how they're connected sometimes to different physical, I think, things in your body, and then as far as not having any physical, like if you've done more than one, because I'd love to, because I only did one session, and I know that she had, worked on soothing some different emotions,
Oh,
but other than that, I don't know. I can't tell you unless, and I'd love, I mean, I'm not gonna say 100%. I don't think that there's hardly any neuroscience associated with body code. And I'm not saying that as a slam. I'm saying that I think body code's probably more linearly, like energetic, connected with different things in the body to help pinpoint like specific things. I think it's limited in the sense of, like, neurologically speaking, like the neuroscience of rest is it's a very comprehensive process that literally will unwind things in your brain permanently. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is that,
yeah.
right. I mean, I think that body code is awesome. I just think that it's I would
I think it's more like a trauma release. Like I've done quite a few sessions, but I guess my best understanding would be like more about releasing specific traumas versus rewiring the brain. I mean, it is rewiring the brain in a way, but not the same. I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. And I mean, and I think too, the one thing I can speak to that I can say for a fact is I with body code and other things too, there may be more coming from the practitioner, which is fine, but they're doing some of the soothing, they're doing the muscle testing things where once you get into the like 75% into the rest session, where I'm having you do the different acupressure points. And then we've also got something that you do with your eyes that kind of mimics EMDR, but it's about forward progression. You do it after you're done with all the important stuff, and you soothe and all that, and it's great because it's almost like, like if before you cross the street, what do? We look left and right. Our brain knows that we do that, right? That signifies forward progression. So we've got kind of little pieces that really bring it full circle. And like I said, the neuroscience behind it is it's just incredible. So it just, like I said, I think more breadth, more depth, more specificity, and more like you basically. And also I think the most important in our world right now is that we've seen people with rest get from point A to point B, or from point A to point Z very quickly. And I'm not saying it's not a slam on anything else out there. It might be slower just because it's not the same modality. It's not the same process. So that's just where we have an edge, and that's, I mean, that's just the truth. So
yeah, no, it's super fascinating. Just different, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I think too, like Dr. Cindy, when she'd been doing this, like I said, for 20 some odd years, and people were flying it all over to see her. Like, she was the only person like doing this, like nobody else in the whole, like no one else was doing it, but she didn't, like, she's really shy. I mean, she's brilliant neuroscientist, very introverted. And she had 2 clients say to her, like, Dr. Cindy, like, you can't be the only person that knows how to do this. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, you can't. Like, there are people like this, and but they lovingly pushed her to figure out a way to break it down and teach it. And thank God they did, because now it's like they're working on an accreditation. They're also working on a patent. So this is it's like the real deal. It's pretty exciting.
That's cool. Super fascinating.
Yeah. And I do, like I said, you and I can always do a discovery session. It just is, hey, baby, it just enables me to kind of see things you're working on right now, and what, whether there's anything current that is something that, sometimes we have things that we cycle over in our head, or we have circular thinking, or we just know that we're beating ourselves up about something, or we're trying to break through something. Sometimes we know there's something present like that. And then other times it just could be after asking some questions that things come up. So I've seen both ways. I've seen people come and they know how they know what's what, or they're like, I don't know, something's, they know it's something, but they don't really know what that is. So you and I can always do that. We can schedule a different time, and that way I have some pointed questions that might help. And then I can say, based on what you say, here's what I think could happen with this. This is what I see happening. So
cool. Yeah, I would love to do that.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Yes. Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Hey guys, sorry I lost track of time at the beach. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited about the recording. I think Lucinda, were you trying to